If you with it, drop it.
Hey, first of all, thank you so much for being here.
You're
Um,
welcome.
for those of you that don't know, so let me give you a backstory of how I met Kristine.
Oh God.
I met her in a church, a mega church, and I thought she was just so gorgeous, and she's very tall. So those
Oh.
of you that don't know her, she's like super tall. She modeled, and I worked in the fashion industry, so of course I was like, oh my gosh, she is just so amazingly gorgeous. And we went to the same church, and she just had this really warm, authentic personality to me. And you have always been a yes to me. Let me say that
Oh.
grateful for that. Like when I'm doing prayer challenges, if I'm doing dance, if I'm doing speaking engagements, I'm like, hey girl, I'm doing this thing, I'm doing this thing. I want to introduce you to my audience.
Hmm.
She's always like,
Hmm.
it's a yes. And so just recently, I was in my own transition, still in the transition, but I was having my own breakdown moments. And I called my girl and she was like, let's go. And she was still a yes. All these, and that was probably 15
Yeah,
years
it's
ago. I
more
don't
than 10 years ago.
It was more than 10 years ago. So I just want to give you your flowers and tell
Oh, I'm gonna
you how
give you
much
your
I
heart.
appreciate you. She is not only a pastor, but she is an artist. She's a speaker and she's also a integrated wellness and life coach. So I love that because those are all things that connect to me in terms of my
Hmm.
faith. But I think that you could really impart to the audience, just give us some insight on how that unique identity intersection and how you show up in the world. Like, what does that look like for you?
Well, first, let me just give you some kudos back because
Oh,
I have
gee.
always admired you. Always, always, always. And it's so funny because as women, we never really sit down enough to realize that while I'm looking at you like, oh my gosh, she's so dope, she's so this, you were looking at me feeling that same way. I mean, we've talked, I've been on some of your platforms before. You've always been 100% authentic. I so appreciate the fact that you did call upon me and, chose me to walk in this journey with you. So, my number is always on 10 years later, 20 years later. It doesn't matter. It's like, let's pick up. What do we need to do? Where do we need to go? So I appreciate you. You're such an amazing, amazing, authentic woman. And I just admire what you do. I love your social media. I love the stuff you put out there for women. The stuff that I know about where you're going, I'm excited about. So I guess to answer your question, now that we've fluffed enough,
Yeah.
um, for me, it's funny because I was thinking about that. Like, okay, so I'm an artist, I'm a pastor, I'm a speaker, I'm an author, I'm a lot of things, right? I have a lot of hats that I can put on. And for me, how it intersects, especially being a pastor and an integrative wellness coach, which most people may not know what integrative wellness coaching is, right? And it's basically a conglomerate. It's a variety of modalities that you can tap into to help a person. Versus no shade to coaching and life coaches. Some coaches' lane is just business. Some coaches' lane is just wellness. Some coaches' lane is taking you from where you are to the future without dealing with the past, right? So with integrativeness or integrative wellness coaching, we take the whole person. We take the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual is what we call MEPS, right? So I'm gonna look at you as a whole person. How is your spiritual life? Is it balanced? How is your workouts? How's your eating habits? All of that goes together. And as most people know, when one of those things is out of base, you're kind of off balance, right? Not that you'll ever be completely balanced because no one will ever be completely balanced, but you can be close enough to where you have that homeostasis that I feel so good. And then something might show up and then you might just get a little off kilter. So with that, I feel like honestly, it's not like the titles or my identity, it's a piece of who I am,
Mm.
right? I don't identify as a pastor because for me, before we were called into the leadership or getting ordained as pastors, it's who we were. It's what we did every day, just being like Christ in other people's lives, because that's what Christ was to me. Now you add the coaching onto that. That's just another grace or gift that I can operate in to be able to look beyond the scripture and maybe look at, oh, let's just think about this. You feel this way? What is your vitamin intake like? Are your hormones balanced? Do you get enough sunshine in a day? You know, all these different things matter because we're a whole person. We're not just one aspect of ourselves, right? We're not just spirit, we're spirit, soul, and body. Then you add the artist in there. It's just another form of expression. So for me, pastoring, art, coaching, speaking, painting, anything that I do, writing a book, it's an expression of either where I've been, where I'm going, or something I may not like. I have art that's abstract. It could be a mood. Like I'll go in and paint. I might be frustrated, stressed, or dealing with anxiety. And I'll go paint something like yellow, bright, and fun. If you're like, oh my God, that's so gorgeous. I'm like, I was so mad when I painted that, right? Mm-hmm. But it's me getting my expression out that might move someone else in a different way. And I think it all goes together. You know, I do pieces that are like collage work that deal with culture and society. Those are my more hardcore pieces, kind of like in your face. Let's deal with this issue of racism and injustice. And it's just an expression. It's a heartbeat behind everything that I do, where that heartbeat is the love of God. I just want to love people in whatever shape, form, or fashion that he can give me an avenue to do that. If I could paint a picture of you, put it in your room, and it moves you every day, and it makes you feel beautiful or confident, you know, if I can write a poem or a book that makes you think outside of the box, or if I can sit down and coach with you and just ask you one question, you know, or say, hey, take this vitamin. The next day you're like, I noticed a change in my body. Or we pray together and we ask God for that divine direction on which route you need to go. For me, they intersect. They are constantly, they're interwoven, right? You can't take the artist out of me. You can't separate it from the pastor in me, because I can teach you through painting on a canvas. And I've done it with girls that I've worked with, just showing them the variety of colors and how one color over here is just as beautiful by herself. She stands strong. She means something. But if I'm on a team and I add all these different colors in, they're like, oh my God, it looks like the ocean now. And I'm like, yeah, but each of these colors represents a unique person. So for me, it's just, hey, we can go outside and look at the rocks and we can talk about the rocks and what they can do for you.
So I really wanted to start there, because while we're renegotiating, while we're in transitions, while we're going to the next stage of our lives, then sometimes we can lose that. We can lose with like who I am now and what's the most important thing of how I get rooted and grounded. And that happened to me. You know what I mean? When I left New York and then I wasn't in the fashion industry, and then I was like, okay, I'm at this age and I may not be a mother, you know, like and when I came to you, I really was in that place where I'm like, this is what I thought I would be. And this is where I thought I would be. And I'm really having a hard time with letting go of this version of what I thought, and like really just landing on where I am now and being satisfied with that, being settled with that, right? So if you're talking to a person, let's say you're coaching, sometimes people have like, I don't know what a coaching session would be like. So I'm like, okay, let's walk through it. Let's go through
Let's
it.
walk through it. Let's walk through it.
So I'm in a transition, right? My audience is definitely, and they're really looking for steps on what can support them in a season where they're like, I don't know, I'm in a midlife crisis. I'm trying to figure out who I am now and what is valuable to me. Like how do I navigate this transition and this midlife crisis, or this transition of, like I said, getting a divorce or getting your kids moving, or some type of big transition that's happening, and you still have to show up for your job, your church, your life, your whatever. And how do you navigate that? So help us navigate a space in like being in a transition.
I mean, you know, I'm gonna be first. Let's just think about who you are, right? A lot of us in transition, we reflect on, and I'm only going to speak from my own experience. I can't speak from everybody else. I can't really even speak from the women I've worked with. You can say there's this huge umbrella that I feel like every woman is going through a shift right now. And I was talking to a young lady today who's much, much younger than me. And it was pointing right back to, I'm in this position in my life where I've been with someone for so long, we're not married yet. And I'm like, why? I don't think he's for me. Then why are you with him?
Mm.
Right. And that was a tough question because a lot of times it's, well, we've been together so long and I'm trying to make it work. There's an expectation from my family. He's been around my children. Okay, so you wake up 10 years from now married in this same situation, then you're going to realize maybe I shouldn't have, but now I'm here and now I'm stuck, but you're not stuck, right? So in transition, I'm always going to ask people, what is it that you're seeking? What is it that you really feel that you need? Like midlife crisis, shifting in age, hormones, menopause, all that is a little different because you have to add in factors of my health. What's my diet look like? I can never say to a woman, you're going through menopause, so you just need to work out. No, there's a lot of balance and chemical changes that are going on that are going to make you feel like you're frustrated, you're depressed, you're down and you're out. Nothing is working. And on top of that, you just decided and you've been thinking about this for years. I want to change my career path.
Mm-hmm.
And now all of a sudden you show up like, I'm going to be a chef. I'm just going to go to school and go for it. And everybody's like, whoa, midlife crisis. What are you going through? You're turning 45. You're approaching 50. This is what it is. It might not be for her, right? We can't label everyone's life as the same because I have been inwardly thinking about doing this forever, but I was always afraid of saying it, maybe because people think I'm too much and maybe I do too many things. And so now here you are and you're showing up for yourself because you've been doing the inner work that no one sees. Or maybe it's just been lingering long enough and something showed up one day, maybe through your prayer life. And it's like you cook all the time. It brings you joy. You make plates for the community. Why don't you do this? Well, I've been a lawyer all my life. Okay. Why can't you shift that, right? You have to take away the expectations of people. You have to take away all of those factors of what other people have said to you. And for me, and it's just my advice, it's really think about what pleases you, what makes you happy.
Well, so this is what I also find that there's a lot of people that are really not doing a lot of inner work, right? Like, how
Mm-hmm.
do I even start to do that, right? Like, I know that when I hosted my first retreat, I would say that 70% of the women that attended that first retreat were like, I've never been to anything like this before. I've read a couple books, but in
Mm-hmm.
terms of creating, finding a coach, getting a therapist, how do I do this like inner work where I'm able to, again, like I said, I'm in a shift and
Yeah.
the thing, like for me, it was like, hey, I'm gonna be a designer since I was like 6 years old. And so now God is like, oh, you about to do something else. And I'm like, oh, wait now. I get
No,
my
no, no.
validation from over here. Like, I don't know what
Mm-hmm.
it's like to show up in this different role. And so I don't really even know where to ask myself those questions. This is where I
Mm-hmm.
ended up. And I
Mm-hmm.
know we're all responsible for where we end up. So that's why we
Yeah.
stop and kind of figure out, how did I get here? But if we're not
Mm-hmm.
doing the inner work, let's talk about some of that inner work.
Now in there, I'm in church, right? Way back in the day. And people are like, oh my gosh, you can't do that. You can't stand in the circle and learn about chi and energy. And I can't show you I can't show you my tattoo. So yin and yang, you can't delve in these areas because that's the devil. That's the enemy. That's not true. Meanwhile, I'm in school, I'm in class, and I've always walked into a room and can feel things or can tell when somebody's mood is off. And I know that's God. And we were introduced into chi and energy. And he showed us this technique, showed us these moves, da da da, da, and I could feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I felt, oh, that's the devil. I can't do that. But in the inside, I felt like God was trying to show me something that can help me calm my anxiety that I suffered from and my mild depression that I suffered from. Yes, it's a thing. It happens.
It definitely
And
happens.
even in that, it's don't speak that over your life. Well, if you snatch my arm off and it's dangling, am I supposed to go to the hospital and say, doctor, my healed arm needs help?
Mm.
No, I'm going to say my broke arm needs help, but by his stripes, I'm healed. So it's addressing the issue that's there, but walking in my authority to know that he heals me. Yes, I have anxiety. However, through his wisdom, through the techniques he's taught me through diet, through exercise, through certain vitamins and supplements, I can feel relief in my thoughts, right? And a lot of times just knowing how to counteract my thoughts with something that has happened to me that's been like ingrained environmentally. So in church, we don't want to talk about other techniques and modalities because, and I've seen the debates about Pilates and yoga and how in certain positions it represents certain gods. For me, God created everything. My Father in heaven created everything. He inspired the Hindu, the Egyptian, he inspired the whoever, the monk, the Buddhist. All of that to me comes from him, and it's just looked at in a different way. I'm not going to sit up here and debate with anyone because I've been in a room and I've done some Oriental work. I've felt acupuncture and acupressure and got up off that table feeling different, feeling peace, feeling calm. So why would I then say to God, because I prayed for years, Lord, deliver me from this, heal me from this. I've had hands laid on me. I've had oil put on me. I've had prayers. I've fasted. And I've had seasons through that where I felt peace and deliverance and wholeness. And then things would show back up. Good. I'm liking where you're going.
My question then becomes is, I think that we're seeking this approval and this validation because we are created, right, to be to be in communion, right, and to be in community with people, and we want to be accepted. And I think that's why our strategies of survival are, we want people's approval because we want to be loved and we want to be in relationship, right? So my question then becomes is, let's think about when you're looking back to the transition, people are moving in different aspects. You talked about some of the health aspects, you talked about the modalities, you talked about working out and kind of understanding what that looks like. You talked about the spiritual aspects. When you think about personality wise, right? How we show up and what's needed from us, what would you suggest that we do from a personality perspective? Let's say a person is like, I'm not a good networker, I don't like talking to people. Then what do I do? Because now I got to manage a group of 50. Now
Don't
what?
talk to them. Don't talk to them. If you're not a networker, find somebody who's a network buddy. If you're going out to network, that's different, right? And sometimes you have to figure out, I'm going to always dial it back to why. Why are you not a networker? If it is your personality that you're just an introvert, then we have to figure out ways to get you to talking to people. And it just could be for a time period. It could just be for, I'm going to go to this event. I need to give out my business cards. I'm going to take someone with me, a buddy that maybe can, get me in the door or walk alongside me to give me that bit of encouragement. So that kind of really depends. But when it comes to the workplace and you are not a person that is a leader or is talkative or is comfortable being in front of people, I really feel like you wouldn't be in that position because there's something in you that someone sees that's going to draw you to that pathway. So for me, it would just be a matter of let's dial it back to figure out, why are you uncomfortable? Is it because you're wondering what people are going to think of you? You're wondering if you're going to show up?
Yes, that's what everybody is thinking about. My fear of failure. And sometimes you will avoid success or opportunities.
Up in the morning, there's songs of worship in my heart, which I just thought it was because I listened to it last week, but I'm realizing God is singing to me. There's a song of worship in my heart. So I'll get up that morning, I might play that song. But I do my best these 7 days in a week. Let's say maybe 5 out of 7 days, I'll get up and I'll have that same routine. I'll cut on my design. It's called Design, I think. And it's a lady, she's just saying, Jesus, your name is whatever. Your name is this. You're powerful. You're loving. And then it'll go into him. And then I'll be in the midst of praying. I put that on my bed. I go in my closet. Yes, I pray in my closet sometimes because as a neuro person, divergent person, ADHD, distractions, whatever, I will start cleaning and doing other things when I know I need to sit still. So I literally have to force myself to sit still. Sometimes it's going into my shower and I pray in the shower. But if I feel like I'm being too busy and I want to just sit and hear, I go in my closet, I shut the door and I sit down and I just pray, I talk. I'll bring a journal in there some days to write down my thoughts and have a conversation with myself. And then I start my day. So that has been something that I've seen that keeps me focused and energized. That's me.
So how can people connect with you? Tell us and let's say learn more about your work, working with you.
Mhm.
How can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. They can go over to my website, which I am changing. So it'll still link you to the same place. But right now it's pricelessjewels.org, and that's pricelessjewels.org. You can fill out a contact form there. Or you can email me at info, at KristineJones.org. That's my name, KristineJones.org. So Priceless Jewels is my nonprofit where I work with women, deal with human trafficking, coach, train, prepare communities for awareness and prevention, and mentor young girls and women. And then, of course, you got KristineJones.org that's coming soon. So,
Got it. Well,
yeah. Or
thank
reach to me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm on all of them, TikTok.
Got it. Well, thank you so much for taking
You're
the time
welcome.
and just the relationship. I think that as people follow you, they'll definitely see more of your personality, more of your authenticity, more of your work coming to light. And I'm excited about that. So thank you for taking the time to join me and talk to me tonight.
You're
And
welcome.
I'll see you soon.
Yes, yes. Thank you. I'm so honored that you have me. So anytime, I got you. I'm here. And that's for anybody. So yeah.
All right. Well, have a good night.